You're listening to News Talk Saga 960. Also streaming live on saga960am.ca.
You are listening to New Theory Radio.
Hello and welcome to another edition of New Theory Radio, the show where we theorize on all things. Hello and welcome to another edition of New Theory Radio, the show where we theorize on all things current affairs, pop culture, and everyday life. I'm your host, Nav Nanwa, and it is a beautiful Sunday afternoon, so whatever that you're doing right now, I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you got the radio on full blast, as we have a lot to theorize about this week. And with all that's going on, I thought I'd call on some very special guests to help me look at the week that was. You probably heard of their hilarious podcast on the People of the Community Network. It is the Yelling Degenerates. They are live and in studio. I got my good friends Gurshaan, Sumit and Sachin in the building. They do a weekly hilarious comedy / political / you name it podcast every single week, and I'm very excited to have them on the show. Actually, funny fact, the last time they were on the station, they made quite the impression, so I thought it would be great to bring them back on Saga 960 AM, but on my show, New Theory Radio. And us four will be theorizing about the following topics. We are going to be theorizing about the increased crime in Brampton lately. For the last few weeks, Brampton's been making the news a lot more for the amount of crime that's been taking place in the city, from stabbings, shootings, house explosions. The increased coverage seems to be out of the norm, and I wanted to get their thoughts on this and why we've seen an influx of crime lately. And then we're also going to talk about Jay-Z and the NFL. People have been conflicted all week on Jay-Z's new deal with the NFL league. For those that do not know, Jay-Z's company Rock Nation now has a partnership with the NFL where they are going to be overseeing the entertainment that the league puts on while also helping the league shape its social justice platform. Some people think the move is a move for change for the NFL, which has been under scrutiny over the last little bit when it comes to different political issues, while others feel that the move itself is very hypocritical because of Jay-Z in the past speaking out against the NFL, specifically when it comes to Colin Kaepernick. So I'm going to get Sachin and Sumit and Gurshaan to weigh in on that. And last but not least, we are going to talk about the lack of coverage on the Amazon Rainforest fires. The Amazon is currently burning, and for the longest time, it looked like nobody cared. The burning was caused by deforestation, and it's burning at the highest rate since 2013, which is really unfortunate. A lot of people were comparing this to the Notre Dame church being in flames, and how when that was under fire, a lot more people cared about that. But when it affects the environment, not a lot of people are paying attention, specifically media outlets. So I'm going to get the boys to theorize on that and share some perspective as to why the Amazon rainforest fires are not getting as much attention as they deserve. All this and more on this week's episode of New Theory Radio. But before we continue, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, it's going to be myself with the Yelling Degenerates here on News Talk Saga 960. And we are back here on New Theory Radio, live on News Talk Saga 960 AM. My name is Nav Nanwa. I am your host, and this is a show where we theorize on all things current affairs, pop culture, and everyday life. And it's about that time where I introduce my panel for the show. If you are familiar with the Yelling Degenerates podcast, then you're very familiar with the three voices that are going to be on the show today. It is from the Yelling Degenerates. I have Gurshaan, Sumit and Sachin. Sorry, butcher your name.
No, Sumit's the right way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My parents spelled it wrong.
I thought I only ever called you Sumit.
Yeah, my parents spelled like a Bengali.
Oh.
Because I look like a Bengali.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
There used to be a guy back in high school we used to call Summit. He hated it.
Yeah, they called me that in London, Ontario. They called me Summit.
They?
Yeah, the white community there called me Summit. I didn't correct them, though.
The white community.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was just happy to acknowledge me.
Yeah, you don't want to correct. That's rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take the L.
Wow, I actually didn't realize that you had racism when you grew up? Because I know Darshan, based on the podcast, dealt with a lot of racism in Chatham, right?
Yeah. Well, Sumit was racist. He's not a racist anymore.
Oh, he's the other way around.
Yeah, he has done some growing.
Well, I was interviewing for an articling gig, and I got hired by a cousin's friend who is a Jewish dude, and I told him one of the reasons I want to work downtown in North York is because all my experiences are just brown. They're singular because I grew up in Mississauga and now I live in Brampton, and then I went to Leicester in school in the United Kingdom, which is all brown.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I don't have interactions with white people. Like I was counting down my closest 100 friends, and none of them are white. So I was like, for me, it's not even like the racism thing. I don't know what it's like to be comfortable in a mainstream Canadian setting, which is wild.
You say butt a lot. That's all.
I just say butt. That's hockey. So when I go to a hockey game, I always felt uncomfortable because I felt like I was the only brown dude who knew what I was talking about there, and I always felt more comfortable at a basketball game because it was much more very
multicultural.
Thanks to Nav Bhatia.
Yeah, Nav Bhatia represent. Yeah. But it's funny you mentioned that because I remember going to McMaster in my undergrad and growing up in Brampton pretty much for most of my entire life, and then seeing non-brown people, and then to your point, feeling a little out of my element because I wasn't used to seeing so many other cultures because I grew up, I went to Turner Fenton, that was the high school I went to, and it was predominantly brown and it was like, non-white for the most part. So it is a bit of an eye-opening experience, but then you always end up having that token white friend that gravitates towards you, and he becomes like one of the boys, and he starts like drinking, having fun with you.
We used to call ours Atta.
No way.
Yeah, his name was Roy. We used to call him Atta because he was the only Gora that would hang out with us, and he was white like flour. But
was he the one guy that you taught all the swear words to?
Oh, yeah. Okay. One time we made him go in a convenience store and swear in Punjabi because he's like, how do you say hi? Then the guy chased him out. It was right on Highway 10 in Dundas.
It's funny thing, he said Satrikal. The guy's like, hey, it's Namaste.
Yeah, he's like, yo, I'm Modi Pak.
My name's Naval Bajaj, buddy.
Shout out to Modi. Got us Kashmir back.
Oh my God. Well, welcome, boys. Appreciate this. I never thought this day would come because I did an episode of the Yelling Degenerates last year.
Yes.
That's officially
in my basement.
Yeah, in your basement. That's with 2 acres, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
was it there?
Yeah. When we had the blue background. We did 5-6 episodes. We did Jenna
with the chairs.
Have you spoken to Jenna on this?
No, I haven't. No.
That'd be a great conversation.
That guy's dope. Jenna was a good conversation.
But it was crazy because remember Gurshaan is actually a family friend, and remember you texted me his address.
Yeah.
And I'd never been to that part of Castlemore before.
Right.
Never on purpose. So as I pull up to your place, I was like, am I at the right place? And then you came outside and you waved. And I was like, yeah, I definitely am at the right place. And it was huge.
You know what it is? They don't turn on the lights outside their house. It's like saving electricity kind of thing.
It's not cheap.
No. They have like this fountain that doesn't work in the driveway.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Though it would work, but they're conserving water. They're good environmentalists.
I know.
Which is why I don't understand why they need 2 acres to live on.
Shout out to Amazon Rainforest. Okay.
Which is actually the third topic.
That Rainforest is still around?
It won't be for long.
We could just start there if you want.
How long has Amazon owned that rainforest for? That's what I
was thinking about that. That was a great name, though. Because, to name your company Amazon, all-encompassing, huge, massive, vital.
You know what's even better? They named their tablet the Amazon Fire.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I remember that.
It still exists.
So it was prophecy.
It's very cheap. It's a very cheap, low-end tablet. Because I remember I bought it for, my employees.
But it was
Christmas present.
But it was a predominantly cheaper tablet, though. I think the price point when it came out was
$99? Less than $69.
It was because I remember they were trying to they're trying to go below price. But then there was that one Desi guy that came out with the $20 tablet.
Thule. His last name's Thule, I think.
Datawind or something.
Anything you will do, a Desi can do it for cheaper.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Even the cheapest car in the world.
I thought you were going to say something else.
You got to take it to a massage parlor or something? No.
Oh, my God.
No.
Well, anyways, back to the Amazon rainforest fires. So let's just start there. The Amazon is burning, and for the longest time, it looked like pretty much nobody cared until a bunch of celebrities started tweeting about it.
Yeah.
But it's really a shame because a lot of people are comparing this to when that Notre Dame church in Paris was on fire and everybody was up in arms and so emotional. But then as soon as something attacking the environment takes place, people are kind of not really into it. Or you have people that are jumping onto it because they want to seem like they're woke and that they're very environmentally friendly.
It's literally the air you breathe. Is that in jeopardy? Like when Notre Dame was on fire, I heard about that because it was everywhere in the news.
Yeah.
And I thought they were talking about the university. And I got a hat, like a Notre Dame hat. I'm like, that kind of sucks. And then I found out it was a church, and I was like, oh, okay, that's okay then. But
listener discretion is advised.
All the Catholic listeners.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, maybe Epstein was there. But about the rainforest now, the thing is, of course, there are fires that happen naturally, right, in rainforest. But the disturbing part is these are being set.
Yeah,
and the majority of them
deforestation.
And it's being set for
deforestation,
for cattle ranching. I think 80% of the land they said is being used for cattle ranching.
Yeah.
So just don't eat beef if you want to support the thing. I mean, I know it's tasty. I know it is.
I thought you were
Gurshaan.
I thought you were.
You know, the thing is, that's easier said, and we've had this discussion on our podcast before because a lot of people are saying switching to plant-based diets is the way to go. Mm-hmm. But if you watch like a Food Inc., for example, and if you take the States and lower income families, beef, chicken, like going to fast food restaurants, is cheaper. Like a beef burger is cheaper than a veggie burger.
Oh, 100%.
So it's more than just your choice. It's a whole economic thing because I guess the meat industry is so subsidized. Like the corn industry is in the States, perhaps the meat industry is too, where it's just cheaper. And it is, if you're poor, you're more likely to get a more nutritious meal, even though it's McDonald's, with meat than you are, because if you want to get all the nutrition in it, you got to eat more of the vegetables. Yeah. You got to have a more varied diet. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, vegetarians, are low in iron. I don't know, are you low in iron?
No, not at all.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Did you check? Did you ever check?
Oh, no, I used to be iron deficient, but not like...
Because I remember, like, I knew a bunch of vegetarians that when they made that switch, that was the first thing that happened to them.
Low in iron.
Yeah.
Well, I eat like salad with spinach pretty much every day.
Vegetarian people are pretty fragile.
But those salads are, like, veggie food's expensive. Like, vegetables are expensive, right?
Even if you get a Beyond Meat burger by itself at A&W, it's like $10.
Yeah,
but we're talking Beyond Meat, like dal cholocalo. Yeah. It's not very manga.
I bought the patties from Longo.
Oh, did you?
And they were on sale. They were 2 for $6.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's crazy.
For a bunch of plants.
And you bought it on sale. I think I saw because I was grocery shopping today, the retail was like $7.99.
Yeah, something like that.
$4 a patty by itself.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
One meal.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And it is processed. Like I think probably a lentil patty that a lot of vegetarians eat, or a lentil like black bean patty. That's probably healthier than a plant-based
lentil is dal,
meat.
right?
Probably.
Lentil's dal, black bean's really good, tasty.
What exactly do they put in a Beyond patty?
Oh, there's a video, man. It's a crazy video. Like they mimic the blood using beet juice.
Oh, awesome.
They actually have like there's if you watch the video, it's crazy because it literally shows you how they process the meat like in a lab. And they have like a real burger beside it, and they try to mimic the texture and everything. And
do they make sure the real burger doesn't touch the veggie burger?
I hope so, because that's the purpose.
Different grill.
I was at a barbecue yesterday, and that was one of the person's concerns, that the veggie burgers were being made on the same barbecue as the meat burgers.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen people at a recent barbecue use the same tongs.
Yeah, Which at that point you might as well just have the burger.
Yeah.
And I just, I did the right thing. I just told the person that was concerned that they should just go home then.
No, that's classy.
So you bring up the outrage thing and like the Notre Dame. One thing I've realized, like, because I did a political science degree, and I used to be outraged a lot. Not outraged, but I'd have an opinion.
Yeah.
And like 2015, I stopped having an opinion on Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, were you one of those guys that would write like a paragraph on something?
Not a paragraph. I would be like, hey, like for example, I remember the last thing I wrote about was I wasn't the biggest Castro guy. And I think Fidel, yeah. Like, and I think a lot of people don't understand that ideology. Like, even though it's anti-America and he was anti-whatever, communism. But we can go into that, right? And I remember I wrote that I'm not a fan of the ideology, and then people just went at me, and it seemed personal too. And that was consistent. Is like the discussion is never to teach. Yeah. Everyone's coming out of discussion to win or put down. So I think like people who like for the Sudan was the blue.
Yeah.
What do we...
And people still have it.
People... Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Why? What was happening in Sudan?
Well, people were trying to uprise, and Bashir is his name? No, not Bashir. I forgot his name. Trying to get rid of this dude. And
how did that work out for them?
Not really well. No, but what I'm trying to say is I think reacting in general, I don't know what it accomplishes. I don't know. I think the only way you can make change is if you hurt wallets. And I don't know how you hurt wallets in the Amazon situation.
Well, the problem is too, right? That's vital to the rest of the earth, right?
Yeah.
That rainforest, but it's Brazil. Like, that is their country, right?
Yeah.
So now if you look at the amount of deforestation and everything that North America or any other developed country had to do in order to build themselves up, we did it. It's just we didn't have a forest that was providing the world with 20% of its oxygen.
But the thing is, the Amazon rainforest is, like, first of all, it's huge. Like, massive.
It's
a lot
big,
of people call it like the lungs of the earth.
Yeah.
So does Brazil not, as a country, not have a responsibility
for the whole earth?
Yeah.
Really?
But then that goes elsewhere too. First world countries have been dumping chemical waste for years,
100%.
And they've been dumping. Like they gave, I think Canada left a lot of garbage to Philippines.
Yeah.
And the Philippines said, "Yo, take this back, or else yada yada yada." So I think. Like, Canada is the worst country per capita when it comes to environment. We have the most waste, and we spend the most water per capita. And it's like we're the ones pointing the fingers to. It's like
But to that point, is this a prime example of global warming and climate change not being taken seriously?
100%.
Yeah.
It's either that, or I think that people know it's already too late. So let's just get ours while we can. You know what I'm trying to say? It's one of the two.
Is the Amazon fire attributed to global warming? I don't think it is. I think it's more
they were saying
deforestation, right?
Deforestation and actual burning will eventually emit fumes that will make the planet warmer. Like that's the theory there, and it's crazy because I remember seeing it's so funny because where I work full time. I was monitoring like the social media account for the actual corporation that I work for.
I know where he works full time.
Oh, anyways, don't say it, please. But then, anyways, what happened was my intern noticed somebody make some random comment about the company that I work for, and he decided to like click their profile, and then they were like someone that was totally against climate change and like calling out the liberals and just very very much saying that climate change was made up.
Yeah, so there's that line of thinking has gained popularity in recent years because you have idiots in power that are actually telling people this straight up. You know?
I listen to Vox Media. A great way to digest news, to get news. Vox, and I listen to their podcast. And the problem is, climate change. People are now just hopping onto sort of ideas that support a certain party. So, for example, being pro climate change or realizing climate change exists isn't a liberal idea. It's just an idea. But the fact that it's always backed by liberals, now suddenly Republicans are like, okay, we don't really support this idea. Like, for example, there's like, I wish I knew about this, but the Elections Canada are saying that there can't be non-governmental ads about climate change during the elections because they act as propaganda. Which is so crazy.
Because the issue's been politicized.
Exactly.
Completely politicized.
Because even Bernier last week flat out said that he doesn't believe in the evidence behind climate change. And then I remember...
Maxime Bernier?
Yeah. And then...
I thought you were talking about Jonathan Bernier. Like, he's not even a goalie for us.
Jonathan Bernier believes Mandela.
Yes. Mandela, one of the best goalies in the 50s.
Like, he wasn't much of a goalie anyways.
Oh, my God.
He was decent.
He couldn't stop a wrist shot.
I think that's the number one problem, right? That's I think if you were in a Republican family and the Republicans suddenly were like climate change is real and we need to do something about it, then the Republicans would ride that, and I feel like that's the number one problem that we're like Black Lives Matter is a liberal idea. So if I'm a Republican, I don't mess with that. Or there's so many things. Abortion's a liberal idea.
Yeah.
People don't know that. I feel like it's a flexible platform.
But that's such a foolish way of going about it.
Well, that's 99% of the world's crazy.
I know.
More than that.
Most of the political world is like that.
But I even read that with the Brazilian rainforest, it's at a tipping point now where like there's really nothing they can do. Like
they can't stop people from tipping trees over. Is that what you mean?
Like there's tipping trees and cows and everything. But
Brazil has so many problems, and Brazil was supposed to be one of those. I remember India, Brazil, China. Do you remember those articles in the early 2000s where the new tigers, emerging economy, South Korea, and the only one that's really making noise, I feel like in the good way, is South Korea. In Brazil, they elected someone who's super right wing, who's super homophobic.
He actually cut $23 million from the environmental budget.
Yeah,
and that's in part contributed ways to this, and he's pro like deforestation.
They held an Olympics, which like Rio, and the ones in Rio 2012, everything's empty. The money went to waste. So like Brazil has so many issues.
They didn't have handles on their doors the day of, like stuff like that. Like athletes were showing up.
Well, I remember like athletes showed up and like half the venues weren't even built yet.
Sochi was like that.
They were staying at Airbnb.
Sochi had toilets facing each other. What's wrong with that?
We'd have stalls with like 2 toilets.
Actually, you know what? I'm kind of down with that, man.
It's like, hey, do you want to have a coffee over food?
It's dead time anyways. You might as well have a conversation, right?
Oh, man. We can do an entire episode on the Olympics and how it's not a smart investment.
No. That's why when we were supposed to get something and then we didn't get it, everyone was so bummed out. Like, who cares? Like, I don't want it.
Just do it in countries that already have the facilities. I guess, right?
Yeah.
States, Canada.
Darshan's counter, which I don't agree with, but Darshan's counter in this situation would be that's the only way that we're going to get the infrastructure we need in terms of public transit. And
it helps in certain ways. Like, you guys would know more. The Pan Am,
because like all those residences that they ended up making for the athletes ended up being sold to people, and there's a lot. Like the Up Express was the reason that was what
so
came
they're
out.
smart about it.
But isn't that wild?
Carpool lanes in a lot of highways.
Oh yeah,
isn't that wild? It's like the equivalent of not doing anything to your house until you're trying to sell it.
We do that all the time. We're
not going to do it. We're not going to give ourselves transportation because we need it. But if the world's coming for a week,
or like before you go on a date, you're like, oh yeah, showering's a thing. Oh, damn, I forgot.
Usually that's after.
And when you're at the start of a relationship, and the way you look at the start of the relationship, you look towards the end, it's like 20 pounds heavier, like darker eye circles.
That's usually like a week later.
You just get comfortable.
Or during marriage.
Hussy, man.
I don't know. I don't see the solution. I don't know if you guys do.
That's actually one of the last things I wanted to ask you guys is there a solve when it comes to getting more informed? Like, I personally feel like a lot of people probably aren't aware around the benefits of what a rainforest does for the actual planet. So, to Sachin's point, they probably don't care because they're like, oh, global warming,
unless
whatever.
They see the smoke,
we're in too deep.
And it's directly affecting them, they're not going to care.
Yeah, exactly.
Bottom line. Right? Unless they're living in Brazil right now, and you saw what was Sao Paulo was like dark at 3:30.
Oh, it was so dark.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, no, that was like a cold front and a couple of other things. It wasn't directly.
Some of those, Amar sent me, shout out to Amar Khan.
CBC News,
he sent me an article because we posted the topics that we're going to discuss, and he started sending me articles.
Oh, he did? Nice.
And so one of his articles showed that a lot of those photos they used were from like previous years. One of the ones DiCaprio posted was not a current photo. It was
he donated money to it. He did like I think $5 million.
Yeah, for all we know, he donated it to like UNICEF or something. Like we have no idea.
$5 million for him. I mean, that's probably what he has in his wallet.
He's like Copacabana.
Yeah, that's why they need the Brazilian steakhouse.
Oh yeah.
So Leonardo DiCaprio,
$80.
Earth Alliance commits $5 million to the Amazon fires.
Okay.
The thing with Copacabana, though, off topic, but when you go there, you get meat sweats after like half an hour.
Oh
like
man,
you start sweating and it smells like meat.
Are you a fan of the pineapple? The grilled pineapple?
Great.
Yeah.
You know why they give it to you, right? Because it breaks down the protein. It's like super healthy.
Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to have pineapple after you eat meat.
Are you still doing keto?
I am. I actually lost 10 pounds the last 3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
I showed these guys the before afters.
Not
bad, eh?
No, it looked like he lost 40, but 10
it looked like I lost 40.
Secret, man, because I've been trying to try it. I've been seeing
he was shirtless.
You look
in the
great
before
first
after.
off. So if I look like that, I'd leave my girlfriend. No, I'm just kidding.
You'd have much more like options would open up.
Oh my god.
I'd be on fan 590.
No one told me this was AM though. I'm a little disappointed.
So I have a gluten.
I'm gonna start playing music soon.
Do you have an allergy of any sort? How do you?
No, I don't. I do have a stomach sensitivity to some gluten. So like I haven't been like fully diagnosed. Like I took the test and it came back negative.
Yeah.
But the doctor was saying over time, based on a South Asian diet,
but it gets worse.
What makes your belly feel weird?
Well, like I can't really drink beer too much,
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So go to hard liquor.
Yeah, which is what I do.
Yeah.
I switched to hard. Yeah.
And then actually, you know what? I started to eat this bread. It's like spelt bread.
Yeah.
Or sprouted bread.
Yeah,
sprouted bread actually does really well for me.
What's the difference? Sprouted bread?
It's like, I think it's
seeds and stuff
grain or something like that. The grain's like, it's like fermented, extra fermentation or something.
So I eat bread that's made out of almond flour.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, for example, a regular piece of bread probably has 13 to 14 grams of carbs in it, 120 calories. This is half the amount of carbs. It's almond flour with cinnamon and raisins. Tastes great.
Where do you get it from?
You'd have to go to these, like, not even Whole Foods. The thing with Mississauga and Brampton, we're lacking in
a
real health food alternative look. Whereas when you go downtown Toronto, there's so many. I can send you a bunch. Where did I get mine from? I work in North York, so there's like a keto store.
Really?
And I just find that I feel
that's a good idea.
I feel how many times do you eat a day?
Well, I still do intermittent fasting.
Okay, that's the best thing.
So
6 and 8.
I always skip breakfast. Always just have a
These guys
dark coffee.
Same thing.
Yeah. It's okay. Like it's decent. Like I feel better about myself, but I haven't really seen too many results. I'm just trying to avoid the dad bod right now. So
I have the dad bod. I'm not a dad.
Same.
I feel like it is like, it's great to eat that, but it's also starting to get a little carried away. Like, you know what I mean? Like sprouted bread and this bread is made from the nails of Chinese children. And you know what I'm trying to say? Like it's kind of getting carried away. Like in my day, we just bought bread, man.
And that's why you guys all died in your 60s.
It's crazy.
I got 5 years left.
Because, we're seeing so many of these different substitutes for foods. Like, for example, all this new bread that we're seeing. Like, what's the environmental impact of this?
Yeah.
Right?
And the choices, I think, actually stunt you. They make you turn just back and say, man, there's too many choices. They confuse you. Yeah. It's kind of like GM in the 90s had too many cars that were very similar, and so nobody bought it.
Why get the Sunbird when you can get the Cavalier?
Yeah, and you'd walk into the dealership confused. Yeah. You'd be like, which one do I want?
But then realize why we ate bread and corn a lot. And the reason is, if you look back at history, is those were heavily subsidized food that filled people up with barely any nutrition. Yeah, if you look at how humans used to eat, lots of vegetables, a lot of meat, a lot of fruit. And we need to go back we need to go back. And even corn, like makki di roti, is still better than flour. But now all corn is genetically modified. 99% of corn, soy. So the reason is, so what was I thinking about? You know how they say they put drugs into the hoods? Blue magic, that's what he talks about. And when you're young, sometimes you think about, there's no way that they're actually doing that. Like, there's no way they're putting drugs in. You know how in Punjab they put alcohol into Punjab in the 80s? And you think, there's no way, because you have this faith in humanity, like they wouldn't. But I think these types of foods are ways to keep you dumb. You get dumb and tired and sluggish.
I think we theorized about the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't even know, first of all, how do you put out a fire of that magnitude, right? And you call 911? Like, what do you do, right? And then when you don't have a government that thinks it's a problem.
I know.
Right? Like
it's tough.
Yeah, in the rest of the world, I mean, if the alternative is that we start losing our oxygen sooner and global warming speeds up, I think the world needs a reset anyways.
And also, do we know if the Brazilians think it's a problem? Because a
lot of it's being done by Brazilian farmers. Like they're saying the fires themselves were started by farmers for cattle raising.
To see what they thought. Local population, a bunch of other stuff came up.
Really? Yeah.
Well, it's because climate change, I guarantee you, is a top 5 concern of maybe 20 nations in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even less.
Yeah. And the small ones, too.
And the small ones.
The ones that
who can't do anything about it.
Yeah, in Norway,
the States.
where they can change everything they do, and it's going to make, little to no difference. It's like a drop in the ocean.
Especially if you're closer to the equator, your weather is going to roughly, stay the same? I don't know. I'm not an environmentalist, but I'm just assuming.
I think with global warming, we're good. Like, in Canada, I think we're going to be okay now.
Yeah, but we had a bad winter this year, though. Yeah. Winter was bad. And the summer was barely there. I don't know.
We had it for, good 3 weeks.
It's starting to get cold now, though. I was out on Friday.
Last night was freezing, man. We had jackets out. We're sitting outside. We were at a fire lit.
Yeah.
A forest fire.
Gurshaan has some stats.
Speaking of land use, I know Darshan's a hippie, so Darshan posts all sorts of stuff, and then he gets very angry about it. Yeah. So he basically guilts you or turns you off the point entirely.
Yeah.
Not very effective. So he posted a screenshot yesterday that said, on a standard American diet, 2 football fields with cattle, animal-based diet versus plant-based diet, 2 football fields feed 1 person per year. Using cattle, but if you were to grow veggies, there would be 14 people a year.
Yeah, that'd be 14 losers.
No, but 14 to 1 is pretty crazy ratio.
Yeah, but I don't think the land is the issue. I think we have a lot of land.
What Darshan's proposing though is that if we're not eating meat, there are plenty of other alternatives that could potentially be made, and B, they won't have the same negative effect. If it was up to Darshan, we'd just all do photosynthesis. We wouldn't eat at all. It would just be, let's go stand in the sun. To back up Darshan's point, during my research, this is what I found.
Is Darshan WhatsApping you right now?
No. Cows produce, I'm reading this from a CNN article.
Oh, yes, probably the same one I have up.
Probably.
Because there's a section that says, what can you do to prevent the rainforest issue?
That's exactly what I'm reading from.
you can also stop eating beef.
Yes. Cows produce greenhouse gas.
But then I want these veggie guys to stop drinking milk and eating cheese too. Then
straight up, you can't have it both ways.
I will try. I promise you. I will try.
Same energy.
You gotta go vegan.
How can we veggie and eat ande? There's people that are veggie and they eat ande. I'm like, so you won't eat the fully formed chicken, but you'll eat the unformed child of said chicken. Doesn't make sense.
Fetuses are... Never mind. I'm not going to get into this.
All right, let's change topics. Let's actually take it closer to home. Actually, we were just talking about this a bit off air. There's been a lot of crime in Brampton lately. And I know you guys just talked about it on your most recent episode, but from stabbings, shootings, house explosions, apparently Uncle G was making moonshine. Like, I don't, I honestly, I would just throw on CB24 and there'd be a new Brampton crime story every day.
Yeah.
And it's alarming, man. It's scary.
I think part of it is because I moved back to Brampton.
I was about to ask, when did you move back? Because there was a spike in crime.
If you can't see Sachin right now, he's dressed like Ice Cube back in early 90s.
It's Brampton, man. In the area of Brampton that I live in is bad, man. There's people that are down on their luck.
Where are you at? McLaughlin?
Queen and Kennedy.
Oh, you're there, right?
Yeah. So actually, Williams and Kennedy. So those houses right behind Center Street, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the issue I'm seeing is drugs, man. The drugs have just took off because drugs used to be a thing when I was younger. People used to smoke weed.
Yeah.
But if you saw anyone else doing anything else other than that, you would call them out on it. Like if one of your friends was trying something other than weed or alcohol, you would literally call them out.
You're 14. Why are you doing LSD?
Yeah, it would be frowned upon. If somebody tried cocaine or anything, it was totally frowned upon. Right away, you'd be like, "Oh, this."
I remember that. I remember back in high school, it was you either during lunchtime you had someone that would just get ripped and just steal a bottle from their dad's cabinet, bring it to school, get ripped, and act a fool, or it was smoking weed.
Yep.
I didn't start hearing about hard drugs in Brampton till most recently.
That's what I'm saying. And I think a lot of people, the opioid crisis, this and that kind of thing, if you're an addict and then now all of a sudden to support yourself, that breeds crime. And then dealers, because the government thinks it's a great idea to just make everything illegal, so now there's a black market for it, and that's how they resolve conflicts. They can't take each other to court and say, he's in my territory, I want to sue him for this. No, they resolve conflicts through violence. And part of it also, I think, is humans in general, man, the stress levels that people are having, and they don't know how to cope. There was that one guy that killed his son and his wife and then jumped off a bridge. Who does that? Why?
Well, what are most of these crimes, though? Are they, cause, to be honest, I don't read local news.
Both. They're passion and...
I'll just pull up the Brampton
what kind of crimes? Are we talking about robberies,
stabbings, shootings?
So there was the one that Sachin talked about was most recent. It was a father that killed his 14-year-old, killed his wife, and then he jumped off the 410
in Williams, right by my place. He drove from home to there. I don't know why he wanted to jump off that particular spot.
I also think a lot of the narrative behind blaming not blaming this whole Brampton crime thing, a lot of it is racism, because there are so many others. Dude, I lived in Mississauga half my life in Brampton. I can't tell the difference. I think a lot of it is Brampton's turned into the laughing stock of the GTA because of the color of the people that lived there. If Brampton was completely white, like Vaughan had in the mafia, a huge bust mafia family. But that's cool, right? That's a cool crime because
someone on Six Buzz.
Yeah,
that's where I got the breaking news on Six Buzz about this bust, and all of a sudden everywhere else started talking about it.
And it was on Twitter and Toronto Star, but that's cool because these white Italian guys are doing mafia stuff, and trust me, mafia stuff. They're probably doing some other crazy stuff like murders and yadas.
Yeah.
But as soon as a brown kid steals a car, it's like, oh, Brampton's an asshole.
But you know what's going on in Brampton? The problem that I'm seeing is in general, there's a lack of respect. So I consider myself almost an uncle now, right?
Yeah.
And then there's people that I hang out with that do look like full out.
You've been an uncle for 23 years.
Yeah. I went to the gym once and the guy goes, "Uncle, how many cents do you have left?" I go, "Uncle."
And he wasn't talking about that gym session. He's in general, you got
and this was 10 years ago.
You got 3 or 4 cents left, bro.
Yeah. No, but I think there's a lack of respect in general because you'll see kids nowadays swearing in Punjabi at the mall and there's Burde walking by. I mean, in my day, you would be quiet if you saw Burde walking by.
You listen to the Burde swear.
If you were a smoker and you saw an Indian person coming out of the mall, you'd hide your cigarette behind your back.
So to that point, so from August, so I'm reading the headlines. I'm on the BramptonGuardian.com. The crime headlines from Brampton from August 16th to the 23rd. 3 people dead following Brampton stabbing.
Yeah.
On the same day, Brampton mother and 13-year-old son killed in stabbing. Father found dead. The one that Sachin
he was 13.
mentioned. Yeah.
I thought he was 14. Well, he's never going to be 14.
Then August 20th, Brampton shooting sends 23-year-old man to trauma center. Mm-hmm. Then, August 21st, 2 men charged in death of man found in Brampton Creek. And then
there's a chipboard that got killed
police
there too.
charged man with second-degree murder in connection to the death of a 54-year-old.
Yeah, that 54 guy was named Chipboard was his last name.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's 1 week?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The city's hot right now, man.
But also 700,000, like 650,000 people.
Yeah.
Well, that's a point that I saw.
That's huge, bro.
Yeah.
I think I was reading in Brampton or something, and they were saying that some people think that the increased crime rate is because of the increased population.
Yeah, and that will bring it. Mm-hmm. But like I said, it's also violent crime has increased, not only in Brampton, in Peel region, violent crime is increasing. Violent crime is usually increases with the size of a city increases. But I'm telling you, that inner part of Brampton, like that Queen and Kennedy, a lot of uppity own the homes there, but they're rented out. And the type of people that live there, some are just down on their luck, man. Some are strung out on drugs, some are this and that, but like that area is a scary area, man.
Highway 7 is such a trip.
Yeah,
of a
and
street.
It never really used to be like that.
Because my parents live. Because my parents live on Gore.
Yeah, okay.
And then so sometimes I go to downtown Brampton. I'll just take Highway 7 all the way down, and you just see how it changes so drastically.
And there's people talking to themselves, and they're like obviously mental health is an issue too. But like you drive through downtown Brampton, man, it doesn't feel safe.
I don't think we're going to find solutions unless our council starts looking like our city. So now we took a step in the right direction. We got Akita thin, Gurpy thin, and we got a black female in, which is a step in the right direction because council is always predominantly white. I think when you have a council that mimics the way the city looks, these are problems, sure, then we will see solutions. Are the solutions increased police? Everyone knows what I think.
No.
If you listen to the podcast, you know what I think about police.
No, I think increased police makes it worse.
I think, do we have a city that is easy to access, to get around, to for stuff for kids to do? No. Like if you go to Mississauga, what's that square called?
Celebration Square
is always packed and has so many things going on, and it's easy to get there. Brampton is terribly planned. It's ugly. And I don't think kids have an outlet. I remember Square One was the outlet. Everyone would go there,
go to the mall,
hang out.
I remember that too.
Like we don't have the infrastructure to deal with it. I don't think we have the right people in place to deal with it, and they all want police power.
People would hang around Square One, but mine was because my mom didn't turn on the AC because the bill would be too high. So in the summertime, we would just head to Square One and chill out, right? But like in Brampton, that they do have somewhat of a celebration style, but it's very small and it's right downtown.
Garden Square.
And like I said, it's not easy to get to, even by car.
Social media is not helping things like these 6 Buzz, like all these accounts.
They're always shitting on Brampton.
Don't swear. Don't swear.
I'm so sorry.
You just got the Jyoti finger.
Mr. Kondipot swore.
Yeah, the one guy who wasn't supposed to.
Kind of funny.
Yeah.
But to that point, it's crazy because oh man, I lost my point.
Man, I really screwed us all up.
It did a little bit. What was I going to say?
6 Buzz.
Okay. So 6 Buzz, and honestly, 6 Buzz sometimes I find it to be hilarious, but sometimes, I think at least 2 to 3 times a week they're knocking Brampton.
100%.
And it's
all the time.
And it's not, no other city gets it. It's always Brampton. The location's Brampton.
Oh, look at this Brampton driver.
Literally.
Yeah, but we do a lot of stuff.
I guarantee you, I will bet you that Brampton has, this is me ballparking, Brampton has more entrepreneurial spirit than any other borough in the GTA.
100%.
There's more people here trying to figure it out on their own than any other borough.
And the Brampton Entrepreneur Center downtown, they opened up a new space. It's killing it.
I can see that. I can see that.
There's guap here. I mean, and the guap doesn't just come. People work really hard.
People are willing to work.
People willing to work.
Do you want to define guap for those that don't know what that is?
Guap is when you go to Chipotle, you pay the extra $2.50.
Yeah, to get the guap.
Just money. There's money. There's hustle here, and with that hustle,
there's spirit here, man. You see it in people.
Oh, you definitely do. It's an underdog mentality.
And one other thing about Brampton, because I've lived in Mississauga and Brampton, I find that the people in Brampton are more willing to just talk to you.
I disagree. I feel like Mississauga is more communal.
Nah,
I always felt like you live 20-minute walk away from your next door neighbor, though.
Yeah, that's a problem. You're not going to talk to anybody, right? But I'm talking about like...
No, but I go out a lot.
No, but where am I right now?
To Toronto.
But it's not I stand in my driveway. You know, still the old 5-level backsplit semis, right? So I'll stand in my driveway. Within 2 months, I know everyone on that street now. Everyone hangs out with each other, especially in the older neighborhoods, and everyone kind of knows each other, and you know what house to kind of stay away from. In Mississauga, I didn't know who my neighbor was.
It's weird because Mississauga has like pockets of groups that know each other. Brampton, typically, everyone kind of knows who each other, like, because I guess everyone's kind of on that same wave where they want to make stuff happen. But Mississauga, like, because I've been able to work with both cities. Mississauga has pockets of people that are making things happen, but a lot of them are in silos that don't want to necessarily collaborate. That's just my opinion. But yeah, to your point, like, you know, I go to my parents' street and they know everybody on the block.
Yeah.
Like, and they'll hang, like, my dad will go outside and hang out with his neighbor and like they'll just
like you know, you need to borrow something, you go there and borrow it.
Literally.
But it's also like I think drugs are the issue that are leading to violent crime. It's like my famous saying was "Bandechan na shemare."
But why do people do drugs?
Famous saying.
To get away.
Is that going to be a T-shirt soon? Or?
It's like mental health. So to get away from their problems. Society has created a situation where it's really stressful just to try to survive and live out, right?
I think social media doesn't help.
Of course social media doesn't help, because now you expect you need this, you need this, you need that, and then you see Six Buzz. People do stuff just for clout now. Yeah. They'll do something stupid just for clout. In my day, when you did something stupid, you went home and you'd tell your friend with you, don't tell nobody, and you would like hide it. Yeah. People are taping it
and
now.
then they find out you're married like 10 years later.
Yeah.
So actually our producer Jyoti Bundu has a hot take. She thinks it's not just drugs. She thinks it's also video games.
Yeah, there's a reason she doesn't talk. No, I'm just kidding.
She's like, well, what was Fraser's?
He was a Fraser guy, not a Fraser.
Fraser's producer. Was it Ross? No, it wasn't Ross.
Ross, yeah.
It was Ross?
Her name was no. Was it Ross?
He's the Fraser dude. I'm the office guy.
I forgot her name now, but I think it is Ross.
Yeah.
Ross. Ross.
Yeah. Jyoti's the Ross.
No, because I do.
Hard disagree on the video game.
No, I think video games do desensitize you a bit towards violence, but I only play NHL. And I haven't tried to score on anyone.
But when you play NHL hits,
public yet.
But I think bigger. If you're going to blame an external thing, I think music plays a bigger impact than video games.
Oh, for sure.
Video game guys are not the guys who commit crimes. No. If they're going to do something, we know what they're going to do, and I don't want to talk about that. But if there's actual crime being committed over clout and over stupidity, it's usually guys who listen to rap and they live in Brampton and Mississauga and take it way too seriously.
Well, even if you look at this new generation of hip hop artists, like
all about drugs.
And all these other,
Mac Miller too, all about drugs,
all drugs, all violence related, like very
they're not
much
educating people no more. They're not like Public Enemy.
Like we grew up on Kanye.
Yeah.
I think it had a great impact on the way we see the world. Not the Kanye of now,
but Kanye of 2004. I remember when I saw Kanye for the first time wearing a polo shirt, I related to him instantly.
100%.
I was like, that's somebody that I like. Cause I was wearing that at the time.
Yeah, he's not wearing Mecca.
Music about self-confidence.
He's not wearing Exco. Right?
Music about self-confidence. Music about black people struggling. Music about love. Music about stuff that we could relate to. And even Drake is a great influence in the sense that at least mainstream he's talking about love and stuff.
Yeah,
right? He doesn't talk about anything conscious because he's not that talented.
No,
but
he's got a limited scope.
Punjabi music videos do that too.
Yeah, they're the worst though.
The gangsterism in the Punjabi music videos.
Those guys don't do anything justice.
You see the gangsterism in Punjabi music videos, then you roll up to the plaza at McLaughlin and Steele's, and I swear to God, every dude that's parked up there is like they're playing a role in that video. They're all leaning on their cars, giving you cut eye and everything, and you're like, whoa. Like,
I actually have a recent story. So we did our show live from Garden Square when Jazzy B did his concert. If you listen to that episode, the sound is horrible. Thummy can attest to that because Jazzy B's. I'm literally doing the show as Jazzy B's doing his hits in the background, and I'm yelling in the mic like it's. So if you want to hear a bootleg Jazzy B concert, download episode 25 on your radio. But at one point, like what I appreciate about Jazzy B is he grabs the mic and he starts talking to the international students. He starts saying, he's like, you know, you guys are here working hard. You know, a lot of people are knocking your reputation. You know, make sure you're respectable here, respectable back home. Like I thought it was kind of cool because I'd never seen a Punjabi artist like that
support him,
actually get woke for a second.
But he was never a violent guy, though. His music was never violent. He was about show off, materialism.
Yeah, people would kick his ass, but
stop swearing.
That's not. Come on,
this guy.
Well, okay. Jazzy B. Thank you. Jazzy B gets beaten up, but used to get beaten up on a regular basis.
His music was never about. If I take a look at the 10 biggest Jazzy B songs, they're more about materialism, which is still safer. It's still a problem in our community. But he wasn't a violent dude. Whereas the new guys are talking about, dude, you see some of the music videos? They shoot people in the music videos. People die.
What was the one? Even was it the one that Diljit had, where he's on the bus?
Banjtara? Is it Garku?
Karku, yeah.
Didn't he apologize?
Yeah, he did apologize.
But was that around when the bus incident had taken place? Was that him responding to that? Or was that
I don't know.
Was that like a politically motive?
You're talking about the bus incident?
Yeah.
He had a song about a 15-year-old, like finding a 15-year-old attractive. Pandra Saldi. And it's like...
Was that song 15 years ago?
No, it was...
I haven't heard that.
This was like 3-4... This was before he really blew up. And it was with Yo-Yo Honey Singh. But his music, for the most part, is positive. I would disagree with Jyoti. I would say...
Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't know about...
Produced by...
I don't know about video games, to be honest, because we played Grand Theft Auto, and I never felt
like... Grand Theft Auto was... I love that game.
Yeah.
I do.
I think it's...
Game FM, man.
Yeah, I think it's music, dude. I think music is...
No, it does kind of like... I remember when I played Grand Theft Auto a couple of times, and then you walk out in the street and you'd be like, you'd catch yourself thinking about, what if I punch this guy? How many stars would I get? You would catch yourself thinking that. It's not like you would do it.
It's definitely just you.
Yeah,
but it was just kind of weird because, to your point, like, you would steal cars, you would just randomly punch civilians.
Who told you that?
No, I'm talking about the game, but
that scared me.
I didn't want to expose you on the air.
How does he know?
But
that was a long time ago, man.
But just to get back to the violence in Brampton, I have a question for you guys. Some of these incidents, when the media talks about them, they say that they're targeted incidents. Does that make you feel better?
So much.
Really? Eh?
Yeah.
No, because now you're trusting that person's ability to target.
No,
and we all know that.
But all of a sudden, if it's targeted, it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah,
good.
And innocent bystanders.
We're trusting that these people who do the targeting
are professionals.
They're pros, and they have a code that they live by.
Yeah, which I don't think they do.
Fit in, which I don't know.
It's still better than random.
Yeah,
it's much better than random. Yeah, it's better than New York in the late '80s, where they just mugged you for walking outside. You know what I mean? Yeah. I still think that's much better.
Well, that apparently New York in the '80s, they said, was bad.
Yeah, you couldn't walk on Times Square. They'd kill you.
You couldn't take subways after
it was bad. It was bad. And then Giuliani, went a little extreme.
Let me clean up.
Was that the gun ban?
Stop and frisk.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people did go to jail for no reason.
A lot of, what kind of people would go to jail? A lot of...
Downtrodden.
I wonder what race that took the worst of that. I wonder.
A lot of colored people?
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of, like, you hear that even they're going to up the police presence in Brampton and stuff like that. I think what they need to do is open up more centers to talk to people about drugs and talk to people about addiction and help people out. I think that will have much more of an effect on the crime levels than just putting more cops on the street.
That's the one thing that I think should happen is I think we need to stop seeing, some of these officials going to the Comparty tournaments and for photo ops or
conpots.
And honestly, it's
where the
fine.
Kids aren't. Yeah, ain't no kid at a conpot.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like you got it. But then also we talked about this last week. Like a lot of politicians, especially now, who are gearing up for re-election, are pandering to the younger generation in a way where it's, I totally relate to you. Like, I think you need to find that method that works for you where you can actually talk to these kids versus just showing up for a photo op and thinking, hey, if I show up, it's going to solve everything.
But they don't relate to them. That's the thing. They haven't lived any of those kids'
Wait till Andrew Shearer is singing a Sidhu Moosewala song and then talk to me.
Oh, he's winning.
Well, if you call a leg or tail, whatever the hell he said. Can I say hell? Hell's Kitchen. I said Hell's Kitchen to clarify. I also think one thing...
like Gordon Ramsay, Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah. One thing that I feel like we don't stress enough is... So I'm like 28 and I'm in a serious relationship, and then you have conversations about having kids. And one thing you realize is how delicate that is. And the more I read is a kid a person is really what happens to him or her from 1 to 10.
100%.
And that's when you absorb everything. That's when you start developing, and those lasting impacts stick with you forever.
Yeah, they do.
Whether you've been sexually harassed, you've been abused, it comes in cycles. I have people and friends that I love, but they react a certain way because of the trauma they went through when they were younger. I think we just don't have good. I think parents need to really. First off, if you're ready to have a kid, think about it. Second off, if you're gonna have a kid, like, you understand this is a big responsibility. You know what I mean? You just have to provide for this kid. You have to teach and love and develop this kid.
Him, make sure your mom can.
Yeah, hey, that's real talk. Considering I'm having a kid in December, so I appreciate this.
Congratulations, man! Summer, what month are you now?
December.
For her.
No, December.
The kid's gonna be December.
Yeah,
Sagittarius, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, you're gonna be great.
And even if it's Capricorn, you're gonna be fine. If it's late November, If it's before November 21st, it's going to be a tough one.
Well, the kids do December 3rd. I'm hoping December 4th.
That's
because
right.
That's Jay-Z's birthday. And Jay-Z's the next topic. Guys, this has been great. I've had topics in mind that I want to talk about. We're talking about them, but they're also like mixing other stuff too, which is very reminiscent of what you guys do every week on the Yelling Degenerates podcast.
We're like the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
A little naughty, a little spice. What is it? Everything nice.
Why would we know this?
He looked at me like he was disappointed that I didn't know the Powerpuff Girls.
I feel like Gurshaan's more of a Dexter's Laboratory guy.
Not even.
No.
Gurshaan's more of a Josh Hives out there guy.
Yeah.
Oh man. All of my handful of non-Indian listeners are gonna be like,
Josh Hives are these.
I mean, any non-Indian listener you have, they should just know that Modi's great. That's it. That's really all to know about India right now.
Oh man.
For more, listen to The Element.
Oh yes.
For more
cheap plug
multi-propaganda
over here. I'm an joke. Speaking of, actually no, I was going to say speaking of Modi, but this has nothing to do with Modi. Let's talk about Jay-Z in the NFL. So I'm a big Jay-Z fan. I think I've said that numerous times.
What's your favorite Jay-Z album?
Favorite album?
Black Album.
Mine too.
I'd say okay. So selfishly, I think it's like quality-wise, it's the Black Album.
Yeah,
but. Volume 2 always have a special place in my heart because my dad used to be a Columbia House member where he used to be able to get like 10 DVDs for like $1.
Yeah.
So I think based on what their analytics were, for some reason they used to send him like free hip hop albums. And my dad would just be like, I don't know why I'm getting this, but sure. And he's like, oh, who's this? And like he gave it to me, and it was like the first Jay-Z album that I heard, and I remember just like really liking it.
Your dad thought it was a jazzy beat. Jazzy beats are different, lad.
Literally. Oh wow. Okay, so people have been conflicted all week on Jay-Z's new deal with the NFL. So for those that do not know, Jay-Z and his company Rock Nation have signed on in a partnership with the NFL to look at their entertainment strategy, but also help them develop a social justice strategy. If you're familiar with Jay-Z, you know he's doing great work. Like he's like a modern day Robin Hood right now, like really helping out people that are being oppressed and doing a lot of behind the scenes work. Not really taking too much credit for it. Some people like DJ Khaled love it. Some people like Colin Kaepernick or think it's very hypocritical.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this move? Because the NFL has been scrutinized for the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years since Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for a lot of different political reasons. And now you have a guy like Jay-Z who at the time made it vocally known that he would never perform a Super Bowl halftime show, now actually in partnership with them. And maybe Gurshaan, we'll begin with you.
I think Jay-Z he's kind of always been like business first.
Yeah.
Versus like pretty much anything.
He's a businessman.
He's not a businessman. Yeah. I'm a businessman, not a businessman. Is that what it was?
Kanye, you got me.
Yeah.
Freeway and Foxy.
Thank you.
That was also the same verse where he said Memphis Bleak will always have a place in as well.
Yeah.
So Memphis Bleak never has to release an album.
He'll be a millionaire.
He'll be my will somewhere.
Yeah.
He's on my will somewhere.
I love that line.
He's gonna give him like $18.
Because you have that one boy, like my best buddy Kanwar. Like I want to take care of him. Like
you have to.
Yeah. No, but him and Bleak had beef after, didn't they?
Yeah, he's gonna give him one CD.
Him and Beanie Siegel have
Beanie Siegel.
Yeah, Memphis Bleak has always been on the Jay-Z train.
Bleak's loyal.
Yeah. I don't know. Rock Nation's eventually going to take over the world. That's what I think is going to happen. Because they represent Kyrie Irving now as well.
Kyrie Irving, they're dabbling in sports, they're dabbling in social justice. Like instead of Rockefeller, the record label. It's like Rock Nation, the management company. Like they manage J. Cole, Rihanna, all the big artists.
They're trying to sign Modi, I think. Oh my God. No, but honestly,
if I ever see Modi with the Rockefeller chain, that would be
for shout.
That'd be nuts.
But see, my take on this, like when I first heard it, I was like, of course he's going to do it's money, right? So like here's he was talking and supporting Kaepernick, and Kaepernick obviously isn't going to like this decision, but I just think he needs to get off his knees by now. But with Jay-Z, I think sometimes if you really want to bring true change, it's easier to do from the inside. And Jay-Z's smart enough to know that if I really want to make a culture change in this league and make it better for my people, I'm going to have to be inside the league.
So he's got to make that known then. That's his intention.
He did say that.
And like TMZ, he was saying that. And I actually agree with you wholeheartedly, Sachin, not because I'm a Jay-Z stan, but because I think it almost takes a person of his stature to like dance with the devil, I guess. Yeah. I'm not calling the NFL the devil, but I remember telling this to my wife. My wife's like, well, why is he getting paid for it then?
Well, why wouldn't you want to get paid? If someone's paying you to do something, I do it. Like we don't know what he's doing with the money. It's not like he needs money. He could be taking that money and helping out players that have had concussions. He could be doing that because he does a lot of stuff like that.
He does.
So we don't know what he's doing with the money. We haven't seen him cash a check.
My dad always says, if you want to help the poor, get rich first. Yeah. If you want to be heard, sit on the table. Yeah. Because no one's gonna know. Like if you're behind the glass door, they'll see you, but they won't listen to you. And I think like as much as you read history, this illusion of change doesn't exist. Whenever there is change, again, is how can I make money off of it?
Right.
100%.
And Jay-Z, I guarantee you, is like, hey, I'm going to get black people to watch the NFL again. I'm going to get black people to be interested in the NFL again, but you got to do this.
Yeah. And I'm going to get the league.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, and I'm going to get the league its respect back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help change this from the inside and really start to change thinking. But the problem that football's going to have is not even Jay-Z and trying to get fans back. The problem football's going to have is I don't think they're going to have players in one or two generations. I don't think
Andrew Luck retired yesterday.
Want to play this game. It's too violent. I think you're going to end up having flag football in 15 years.
And it's really easy for people to complain about Jay-Z and like these black players that are continuing to play for the football. But dude, like this is their outlet. Like this is their career. And
they've spent their whole lives.
Yeah, they spent their whole... So I was reading this book, Yuval Noah Harari. He wrote Sapiens, and then he wrote Homo Deus. And he talks about, you know how we get outraged about how people participate in the system? So we blame the system on that person. So he was like, do we blame the guy who used to deliver Nazi propaganda, but he was just a mailman? He was just doing his duty? Do we blame him? Or do we blame the system? And I feel like sometimes we just blame the person just because that person's a part of the system and they have no other way. If I'm a poor kid who grew up in the hood and I'm making money finally and getting my family out by playing football, am I going to blame him?
A lot of those players have a 5 or 6 year window.
Maybe less. And I'm going to blame him from my 2 acres. You know, I'm going to blame him from my little tweet station.
Well, Andrew Luck, man, just retired. After what, 7 years of playing. And then you have like people like Tom Brady that just keep going.
And they had a shot this year, too, man. They had a shot this year.
I thought they could have won the Super Bowl this year. Seriously.
They had a shot.
They're a good team. And especially with a healthy Luck, they could have been good.
They just have no luck.
About the NFL thing, I think I hate it when people like... I was going to swear and I didn't swear.
People like who?
People rag on him for retiring, leaving early. The fans actually booed him when he was walking off the field. I don't know if you saw that. They announced it, and he was on the field just talking as if like nothing happened.
They should have cheered him
to his teammates and stuff, and everyone probably heard the news. And they booed him off the probably the last time
he said it. That hurt his feelings. I'm like, I understand.
Yeah,
that reminds me of when Kevin Durant went down. Game 5?
Did you? Was your initial? Okay, so I'll tell you. My initial thing when KD went down was yes. Yeah. And I know everyone says that's messed up. I don't want his ACL to be torn. No, I want him to be out for the game.
Oh.
That's it.
Oh, I feel like
to your credit, I think that was everyone's reaction.
Yeah.
And then then it slowly hit you like, no, I shouldn't be cheering this because it's KD and Achilles injury sucks.
Yeah.
But if I knew it was the Achilles, I'd feel bad. But if it's a sprained ankle, because his original thing was a high ankle calf sprain or low calf sprain.
Yeah.
So if I thought he aggravated that, I'm fine with it.
He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. So we're good.
We watch UFC and we want Khabib or Conor to get knocked the hell out.
Yeah.
And suddenly, come on, we can't. we gotta keep the same energy.
Guys getting their
hockey.
Yeah, all the time.
When Clark MacArthur, I remember he knocked someone out. I was going crazy. It was like a Senators player. He just came out and swung. Or when Ty Domi used to just lay dudes out. Scott Stevens lay dudes out.
Your natural caveman reaction is to be like, yes, and then it's not until like where your
but our city got labeled.
Cultured brain kicks in and tells you, well, that's wrong.
Hated.
Yeah, we got hated. Our city got labeled. It's like the U.S. is gonna have to go because
we pretty much gave Stephen Smith ammo.
Yeah, but if that happened in Boston or any other city, they would have cheered just as
they would have cheered and throw like banana peels and say the N-word knowing Boston.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you know.
Well, that happened here too in London.
Yeah, London
and
Toronto.
Wait, like London, Ontario?
London, Ontario. The Flyers played exhibition game there.
Oh, yeah? At Bud Gardens?
Yeah, somewhere where the Knights play. And Wade Simmons was going for a shootout.
And he threw a banana peel out.
And someone threw the banana peel out on the ice.
Did you say Bud Gardens?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
It's not Budweiser. It's like a Bud. Like that kind of Bud.
No, it actually is Budweiser.
It is Budweiser Gardens?
Because it used to be called Molson something, and then when the rights went up, Bud went in.
London Knights play there.
But I believe that fan, because he's saying he didn't do it in a racist way, because he didn't even know that was associated with being racist.
No, come on.
He just finished his delicious banana.
Was he just trying to make them
Who eats a banana in a ice hockey rink?
Yeah. Bananas are delicious. They are delicious, okay?
He went to that game fully intending to throw a banana peel at him.
Yeah.
100%.
That's horrible.
I'm just giving him
So back to Jay-Z.
I think, I don't know, people find, like, you talk about the Amazon thing and the Jay-Z thing, people legitimately find time to just complain about. Because, like, I'm just stressing out about my daily life, as you can attest to in our last podcast. Like, well, I don't read the Jay-Z news, and I'm like, do you remember when Rupi Kaur had that post where she posted about her period?
And it was like,
the world went crazy.
She had the stain, right?
Yeah, I remember I was going through Instagram, I saw it, liked it, and it just kept it moving. And then it turned into something. And in my head, sometimes I think, I don't understand outrage. I just don't understand it.
And that's the thing too. Like when I first heard that Jay-Z was doing this, I think I tweeted about it saying, this is just Jay-Z being Jay-Z, like he's a boss.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until that was my first reaction, and then it wasn't until like as the day progressed and I started to see, Colin Kaepernick calls out Jay-Z, or
I think it was Eric Reed. I don't know if Colin did.
Actually,
Colin did. Colin did as well.
A few players.
And Colin's girlfriend apparently did too.
Yeah.
He has a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so that's what things just got interesting, because I was just like, oh wow, like right away when I saw that move, I was like, okay, well, Jay's been on this role where he's been helping Meek Mill, helping all these families that have been racially profiled. Maybe he's like, okay, I need to be a part of the NFL to change that. And then some people are like, oh, he's just doing it because he can become an owner of a team.
Right.
Well, yeah, but what's wrong with that? But I think Colin Kaepernick went about it the wrong way. I think first of all, he shouldn't even commented on it, and I think he should have tried to figure out how he can ride this wave back into the league as well.
Well, but a lot of people were saying that. They're like, oh, now that Jay-Z's a part of it, they expect Cap to be back on a team.
Yeah, but now that he tweeted that, you think Jay-Z's going to carry it? Don't pick up his phone.
I wish a better player was doing this. Like, if you had Antonio Brown, because the impact would be very different. Colin Kaepernick at best right now is a backup quarterback. At best.
Right now, yeah.
Even last year.
You could argue, man, there have been some... Like Nathan Peterman was playing.
Yeah, but I wouldn't... But Kaepernick at best is an average quarterback now. Even last year.
Yeah, he's not
so you wish like a LeBron
Peterman
type...
isn't even a quarterback name.
Yeah. You wish like a better player was doing the protest... and again, they're not protesting the NFL. They're protesting police brutality.
Yes.
Where the NFL messed up is by enforcing, hey, you got to stand during go in the tunnel.
They went about it the wrong way.
We're not going to play you. Yeah.
They should have allowed them to protest. Because legally they're allowed to protest.
No, I know, but it's not NFL's looking at their average fan and like the USA, and how that's going to affect them. The NFL in the end was just looking at how is this going to affect our business, and they made a set of wrong choices.
Well, the year that. Because it's been 2 seasons now that Kaepernick's been sitting out. Like, this will be the third season.
Yeah.
So the first year he sat out, ratings were like
he's not really
tanking.
sitting out, by the way. He's just not getting offers.
He's still a free agent.
Yeah.
So the first year where I guess he got released by the by the 49ers,
I think his contract was up and they didn't sign him.
Ratings were down. Then ratings went up again last year. And having worked for a sports league in the past, sometimes there's decisions that need to be made to be like, man, how do we get back into
the
pop culture? Yeah, into the public eye in a positive way. that's probably when Goodell made the call to Jay-Z and was like, hey, what's up? Like, can we do business?
And the way they framed that call wasn't like, oh, our ratings are down, we need your help.
Yeah.
The way they framed that call was, look, we've made some very bad decisions here.
Yeah,
and
literally.
we obviously don't have our hand on the pulse. Can you help? That's how the call, and if that call comes to you, you'd say, yeah, man, I got a chance to help my community here. And that's probably how they framed it to him. It wasn't, Jay-Z, we need your help to have people watch the game again. So come on in.
You're probably right. Like, sooner or later, black people or, non-white people in general of wealth need to exercise that wealth.
Also, I think I understand, like, with ESPN and Jamel Hill and sort of separating the politics from the sports. Being someone who's super political with opinions, I understand that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if you work at 10 to 5, you just want to watch sports without worrying about what someone thinks about police brutality.
Or Trump tweets.
I understand that. But then you need to depoliticize in the other respect, too. I feel like you shouldn't have national anthems. Because if you don't have national anthems, you shouldn't be honoring the military so strongly. So I feel like if you get rid of all those elements, then you wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, it's just the game.
It's just the game.
Yeah.
Just have the game. Why do we have national anthems?
The military, the U.S. military pays the league to have these demonstrations.
That's the thing. That's a problem.
See, I think when you have the national anthems...
I've kneeled. I kneeled actually when the Kaepernick thing was happening. I was at a Raptors game. I kneeled during the U.S. national anthem.
Okay.
No one said anything to us.
I was just saying, I thought you kneeled during the Canadian anthem, and I was like,
I would kneel. Listen, I don't celebrate Canada Day. Why would I celebrate Canada Day? But that's a whole different.
What do you mean, man? I love this country.
Are you originally from Quebec? Because Quebecers don't celebrate.
No, why would I celebrate?
If Canada went to war with India tomorrow, I would fight in the Canadian.
I wouldn't
army.
fight for anyone.
No, I'd fight in the Canadian. Let's say you didn't have a choice. Let's say you had a choice. Like you didn't have a choice, and you had to pick.
Would I fight for the colonizers or the colonized? I'd fight for the colonized. India, 100%. If I had a choice,
I'd fight if Punjab was fighting Canada. I'd fight
Dude, what I'm trying to say is,
if India was fighting Canada, I'd fight for Canada.
Why I don't celebrate Canada Day is because you're celebrating a genocide. You're celebrating colonization. You're celebrating, and you're like being like, okay, this is Canada. Canada is not this country.
It's not that serious, bro. You just have a barbecue, have a couple beers.
To that point,
it is that serious.
But to that point, a Tribe Called Red, who is a really dope, electronic indigenous group, they ended up, I forgot what they called it. They call it Happy Invasion Day or something like that. Yeah,
maybe I'll celebrate called it out. But I think patriotism in general is just stupid, so I wouldn't celebrate Happy India Day too because.
There is no Happy India.
There were no decisions we made to be born in Canada.
Yeah, there's none. And I'm glad we're here, but like I think it's like a human thing. I connect with humans, and I think we already have so many divisions, but now we're gonna celebrate another division that was man-made and made on like blood and death. I don't know.
How many? Speaking of which, how many divisions are in the NFL? 4?
No.
5, 6?
6.
6, yeah.
No, 8.
Spoiler, I'm not really an NFL fan.
It's 4.
Okay.
I'm a New Orleans Saints fan because my wife's a big Saints fan.
They might win the Super Bowl again this year.
I'm Eagles.
Well, not last year.
And I've been Eagles. Like, a lot of people think I became an Eagles fan when they won.
Eagles, yeah.
I've been Eagles for, if you go on my Facebook,
Vikings
10, 15 years.
I actually feel like Drew Brees is like the John Cena of the NFL.
Oh, WWE guy, by the way. You know who's another WWE guy? You obviously know because you're friends with him. Noise is huge.
Yeah. So him and I were actually at SummerSlam and NXT together. Well, not together, but yeah, we hung out during NXT.
And Navi, his wife, is also very into it, which is awesome.
She had a dope Bret Hart sweater. It was like Bret Hart's wrestling tights.
Sick.
Noise the rapper?
Yeah.
Noise. So I tried to explain to my girlfriend like the biggest wrestling moment to get her hyped. So obviously Hulk Hogan joined the NWO.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like explaining.
That's your biggest moment, eh?
Has to be.
Hulk Hogan joined the NWA?
It was.
If I said NWA, I was like, that's crazy.
Or the screw job.
I would say because Hogan joined the NWO. We're totally digressing, but whatever. Hogan joined the NWO in 1996.
Yeah,
that was the first time because I was 8 years old at that time. That was the first time I was like mind blowing. I was like actually legitimately like, whoa, this hurts.
But I didn't watch it.
Why he changed his name?
I don't watch it live.
I watched it in Scramble Vision.
You know why?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the box.
What's the craziest live moment you've seen?
Craziest live moment?
Like live as in you watched it on TV.
I watched it on TV. I would say the CM Punk pipe bomb.
Oh, because I
thought that was real.
Okay.
I thought that was real.
Oh, wow.
For me, it's Kane when he first came on the scene.
Oh,
I was on the Hell in Cell match. I was like, yo, Undertaker got a brother, bro. Yo, you think you got a brother?
Back on topic. Honestly, this show is turning into like a wrestling show with the amount of wrestlers I've had. Okay, when I was looking up, when I was doing research, obviously for this topic. Obviously, the one place I do love to go is on Twitter to see what the general population is saying. Some people were saying that Jay-Z working with the NFL is the equivalent of Kanye endorsing Trump.
Oh no, not even. No. Although a lot of NFL owners are huge Trump supporters and like actually actively donate.
Fans.
Robert Kraft, all these guys.
Ross, the Dolphins guy is.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah,
dude. Some of those NFL owners still look like they own slaves. Like they have that look, they have that feel.
It's funny you mention the Dolphins because that was the team that was rumored that Jay-Z was going to buy.
Well, don't they?
Oh, I guess so. They are like the way they pay.
That's what I'm saying. Don't they? Like,
the way they cut people.
If you can literally pay a man enough to try to kill another man on a field.
Yeah, I always think about Any Given Sunday. That movie was sick.
Oh yeah,
like that really opened your eyes regarding
one of the greatest sports,
the politics of
movies
sports,
ever.
Politics of sports, how a team is run, and then it's crazy.
Yeah. And the players generally in most leagues are treated like crap. The NFL, I think, is the worst there.
Yeah, like this whole Marner thing. Let the guy get his money.
Yeah.
I want him to get as much money as he wants.
100%.
I'm not gonna hate on him, man. Come on.
Same way people were hating on Nylander when that was happening.
Yeah, like, I'm not paying for him to get paid. Yeah.
Especially when you go like locally. Like I worked for the CFL for a year. Like it was crazy to see that the lowest paying CFL player is like making minimum wage. Like here in Canada. Like I remember there was one player, I forgot his name, he played for the Toronto Argos. I want to say it's Wilder.
Allen.
No, not David Allen.
He lived in a basement apartment in Brampton.
I think it was James Wilder Jr. He was another big wrestling fan. Yeah. I saw him at Impact Wrestling a few months ago.
He lived with 4 students right in the basement.
Oh, he lived with 4 running backs.
So this was after the Argos won the Grey Cup.
Yeah,
he actually publicly said, "I'm going to sit out the next season because I don't have enough money to make for my family back home in the States." Because he was making 52,500 Canadian, which when
then tax
and in USD is like 40K.
Oh my god, man!
But CFL doesn't make money like that, so you can't blame
it doesn't make.
That's true.
Are you watching the CFL, man? No,
I watch it.
Come on, dude. Come on. I haven't seen the CFL.
I only keep up with it because I used to work there. But the players are some of the best players.
Oh, there's a lot of talent.
100%.
Is there?
For sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll never find out.
We definitely.
You should go. I was in Winnipeg because I did a partnership with my current job with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and out there is sick.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you go out west, like when I grew up in Calgary.
Ain't no go Winnipeg either.
No, but I'm telling you, when I grew up in Calgary, a Stampeders game was a big deal, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like it's just over here.
Yeah, it's because the Flames were terrible in the 90s. That's why.
I honestly
what do you mean? This was the 80s.
80s, okay.
I honestly don't think Toronto's the right team for a CFL market.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
You know what the Toronto's the right team for? An NFL team. Let's bring that baby down here.
Yeah.
Let's bring a baby down here.
Talk to Drake, man. Drake should make it happen.
Drake should make it happen.
Average person in Toronto would rather go to Chipotle's than go to a CFL game for free.
Hundo. Are we talking barbacoa right now?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are we talking barbacoa?
The CFL ticket's probably cheaper than Chipotle.
If you get guac, yeah.
Yeah, if you got guac, man. They don't even tell you nowadays. You know,
there's some leagues that are just like
for $2.
I kind of get annoyed when they tell me though.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I'm asking for it, I know.
And it's like, what, you think I ain't got the money?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you kind of get offended a little bit, right?
I feel like I need to do like an assessment when next time I stand in line at Chipotle to see if they ask the person behind me.
When they do that, I usually just take money out of my pocket, like, you know, in the weddings, and I just like go like this.
You know what's interesting is things that I look at, like sort of like that, is whenever I'm at a grocery store or I'm at a Subway, I like to see what someone's buying and I like to see what they're putting on their sub, and I feel like you can tell a lot about a person. So like when I see like someone's going sweet teriyaki with mayonnaise, I'm like, this guy has problems.
What is
he doing here?
We are not going to get along.
Black olives, onions. Oh, he knows what he wants.
What if you get a cold cut sub toasted?
Oh,
then you're an immigrant. You're an immigrant.
Because why would you? Like, it's a cold cut for a reason.
You don't have a PR if you're doing that.
No, but I feel like sometimes because my girlfriend always says this whenever I mess up, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't thinking about it, and she's like, no. Every thought, every action has something behind it. Maybe it's subconscious, and you have to unpack that. That's what therapy is about. So when you go to Subway and you see the way this person's getting a sub, I'm telling you, it tells a lot about a person.
That was like Coneheads. I think the Dan Aykroyd's daughter in Coneheads was eating like a sub, like a different way.
You
probably the wide way.
The wide way.
Like Justin Bieber apparently eats hot dogs like that. But yeah, cool, man. You know, that's cool.
Just one last thing on this topic. Okay, so Colin Kaepernick, we talked about, kind of feels like his boy betrayed him. Jay-Z on TMZ, I think with Ralph Goodell, like actually did an interview,
like a press conference,
and then at one point he says that we're past kneeling. So what do you guys think of that? You think that's true? Because obviously kneeling had a lot of representation regarding the reason why it was being done. But now Jay-Z's flat out. And mind you, Jay-Z, when 444 came out and he performed at SNL, he was wearing an all black on black Kaepernick jersey. Like, it was all for the movement.
No, 100%.
Do you feel like with him saying that it's right? Like, do you feel like we're past kneeling at this point?
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say, and I'm not going to speak for him because I don't know him.
I thought you did.
I think what he's trying to say is that the kneeling did what it needed to do, which is to bring this to the forefront and bring it up as a conversation. And what he means is by him being with the NFL now it's time for action.
I think it's a little insensitive because he's not the one who's jeopardizing his career by kneeling. So I think it's like telling someone, stop fighting. We're past the fighting, but when you fought in the war, you're like, where were you?
And the word privilege did come up in that sense, because it was like, okay, well, Jay, you're not the one on the field.
Exactly.
Like, who are you to really say
I wouldn't have said that because I don't think that helps the narrative that people have already built on Twitter about that whole situation, like left-wing Twitter or liberal Twitter. But I wouldn't have said that. But I agree with his stance, like what he means, but I wouldn't have said it because I feel like it comes off a little insensitive.
So just to lighten this up a little bit, you think we'll get better halftime shows now?
Oh yeah.
What's the last good one we saw?
Madonna.
Michael Jackson.
That was like 90s. No,
Prince was pretty good. Prince was awesome.
I enjoyed it.
I actually rewatched that one recently.
Bruno Mars. I like Bruno Mars.
I heard this halftime is going to be Sidhu Moosewala and
Rebel.
Brown Boys and
more violence on the stage than in the game.
Dil Danimara.
It's like Big Bird, Birdie Chitty. It's they're going to do the halftime show. Is what I heard. Yeah,
nice. Wasn't that the Cricket G20 halftime show?
Oh, was it?
I actually wanted to go to some of those games.
I went last year, King City.
No, but like some of the players were down.
Yeah, this year was in Brampton. I didn't go because I just watched the World Cup and my heart was broken. India lost, but maybe it'll pop off. I don't know.
I didn't go because I knew it would. It's a hot boy summer, like I was saying. It was gonna smell like sweat in there. So I was like, nah.
Actually, my wife's cousin. He's like a.
You almost call him your cousin, which is a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I
call my cousin.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
He's a physio, so he's doing physio for all the athletes.
That's awesome.
He was saying the days were long, like they were super long.
They were protests a couple of times that they didn't get paid on time.
Really?
Yeah. This was on cricket.
Who didn't get paid?
The cricketers.
But who did the show?
I guess the promoters probably didn't pay them, right?
It's like a big company.
Okay.
Is
it a trucking company?
I don't know.
Because they don't pay.
Yeah, I don't know if cricket would thrive in Canada. I don't know. Because I feel like our immigrant community makeup is a lot of Punjabis, and Punjabis aren't as into cricket as the rest of India.
Yeah.
Whereas that's why in the U.S. it does really well.
But you have a lot of West Indies. They
love it. So it was full with West Indians when I went.
British, that's what I'm saying. And they support it too.
West Indians love cricket.
Actually, one random thought that just came to mind with all this Sidhu Moosewala cricket Jay-Z talk. What are your guys' thoughts before we wrap this segment up around the intersection of sports and music? Because we've seen with Drake on the Raptors, Jay-Z in the NFL. You've seen it with Wale and the Wizards. I think you've seen it in hockey too.
Well,
right?
every basketball player wants to be a rapper. Every rapper wants to be a basketball player.
Yeah.
So
I think it's natural.
I think what Drake was doing was awesome, and if I was in his position, I'd be doing more.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think what we owe, Drake is a weirdo, right? Like Drake, but at the end of the day, he's put Toronto on the map, and I respect him a ton for that.
Yeah, he's done really well for the city.
He was going at Joe Budden yesterday.
Was he? Why would he do that? Why give Joe Budden even attention?
No, Joe Budden was just live Instagramming his pool party, and Drake was making so much fun of him. He's like, whose name is the Airbnb under, and all this other stuff.
So I was a big Joe Budden fan because I used to like the DJ Clue mixtapes. Yeah. So I used to download those off of Kazaa.
Cool.
Yeah, Clue Banati. And then that's when I first heard Joe Budden. I remember his album dropped like a week after, or like the same year that 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying dropped. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was in grade 9. I took the bus from Turner all the way to Shoppers World, and going to that's when I bought CDs. I saw when 50 Cent's album dropped, it was like at the front, there's only like 3 copies left because everyone bought that CD.
I bought that.
Yeah, it was huge. Like everyone has Get Rich or Die Trying. I, like, for some reason, was, like, the biggest Joe Budden stan, so I thought, like, going to Music World to be right at the front. I had to, like, go to the very back and, like, ask for it, because it was, like, nowhere in the Music World.
Do you guys have any copies left? Yeah, like 72.
And they're like, what kind of buttons?
It was hilarious.
Fabric Land.
Because it was one, and there's a Fabric Land right beside it.
Yeah,
it was hilarious because it was they only had one copy in stock. Plus, it had the generic white pricing sticker on it. So,
oh my god!
So it wasn't like $9.99. I had to spend $19.99.
Yeah, because they were imports. Like,
yeah, it was imported.
Import. I remember there'd be the sticker on the good hip hop albums back in the day. They would say import, and it would be double the cost. But that was the good underground stuff, like Black Moon and stuff.
All that.
Speaking of which, Black Moon, which is I'm one of my favorite rappers, started following me.
Really? Eh?
Yeah, I don't know why. I liked one of his pictures, and then he followed me.
Oh, I know exactly that. He's doing one of those follow for follow things. He's trying to build up his thing. He's going to unfollow you.
Hey, whatever, man. I'm happy about it. You can't take away my thunder.
I can.
Why not?
I can and I will.
Yeah, just take a knee, buddy.
Just screenshot it and just hold on to that. It might disappear in a couple of days.
Zach Boychuk follows me.
Yeah, he follows me too. Yeah.
I was almost as happy as that time when Vinay Vermani started following me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Weren't you in one of his movies?
No.
Did
he have a bad script to show? I mean, did he have a script to show?
No, but he actually, because it's not his scripts. He usually just takes other people's scripts.
Really?
And puts
He
their name on
pays
it.
for them.
I'm joking.
Actually, Sumit, you're working on a wedding documentary.
Yo,
right?
that's been on hold for.
It's been on,
guys.
It's been on the back burner.
It's
I'm
kind of
busy.
like his wedding. It's
Actually, no, that's going too fast. No,
He was in a completely different relationship when this started.
Wow.
Was that?
yeah, you were.
You had to have been.
Oh
We
yes, I
started so
was.
long ago,
I was. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So wait, why is that on hold?
News
Just
travels,
timing?
I travel. Apparently, yeah.
Is that just timing?
It's on hold because, well, a lot of my creative projects that I want to do, or we want to do, are on hold because I'm trying to figure out like a career situation. So I'm an articling student right now, and I want to get married soon, and you know the pressures of that. Now you're
Dude,
on
it's crazy.
the next step, right? So I have to like figure that out before. It's just when you're like busy, and I feel like to be being a creative, and you're one, like you sort of like have to be in the right mindset.
Always.
And
Always.
otherwise the product's not that great.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my girlfriend about this. Usually I make the best stuff when I'm like really upset and sad. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, biggest compliment to you. I haven't made stuff since I've been with you.
Yeah, straight up.
That's the biggest compliment.
Hey, we actually shot a web series that was pretty dope too. It was just all of us being us.
Yeah.
And wanting to shoot a web
And that's
series.
when I just broke up with someone.
Because I heard a rumor that you and Roger were going to do like a food thing.
Yeah, yeah.
We were, and then Raj decided he doesn't want to eat that much anymore.
No, that's not true. Come on.
Raj went to a
believes
doctor, and the doctor said his blood type was Dalia, and then he's not allowed to eat. We have a lot of stuff that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Just when we
best
figure it
ideas.
out, and best ideas, the greatest,
Straight up.
greatest
The
ideas.
best.
The Bruno one was the best one.
Problems. Yeah.
Arky.
And I may have watched that with my entire family.
And
Nice.
the funny
With my
part was,
brother connecting the HDMI to his laptop.
and
Nice,
Arky
nice.
wasn't acting. That's how Arky is when he comes to your house.
No, he shits with the. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Clock. He poops with the door open.
This is what I mean. Don't judge a book by its cover.
No, Arky is just like that all the time.
Really?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Wasn't even a skit. That was just they followed Arky around with a camera for a couple of days while he was at Gurshaan's house.
Really? That was it?
Yeah, no, it was gross.
Gurshaan got the Guru Granth Sahib look, but he's really like, you know.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of those things, but it's good.
Yeah.
I like it. He speaks his mind.
It's
You know
good.
what,
He's been told not to do it, but he's not going to listen to authority. He's like Colin Kaepernick.
I've lost track of what this
So
conversation
how do you
is about.
I want to ask you,
What's
like,
up?
because you moderate a lot, right?
Yeah.
How do you?
Actually, speaking of moderation, I was on, because the Brampton version of Six Buzz is Bramley Road.
Yeah.
So a clip of mine with Vicky Dillon was on Bramley Road. So I felt
Classic.
I remember texting my brother, like, yo, I feel kind of hype.
Hold on. Which one was that?
It was the one where Nikita Brown from the Bramptons asked him a question around like arts and innovation corridor.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
And he had no idea what that
I
was.
remember that. He didn't know what it was.
This was Gurpreet was on.
Yeah.
Gurpreet's been on our podcast. Super nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he's got a
awesome.
voice like Kada. But he started just saying stuff like, innovation, that one corridor. I remember that. It was hilarious.
I have corridor. I have corridor. You have corridor.
50 Cent.
We both have quarter.
Quarter is something they intersect.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's too much mangai. You can't buy nothing for quarter. That's what he's saying.
That was my crowning achievement of my media career last year.
So, like, for example, like everyone, when they pursue something, there's obviously an end goal. So when you're pursuing, not all the time, but when you're pursuing a woman, the end goal is marriage in certain cases not, something else. But there's always an end goal.
Thanks for pointing at me when you said marriage.
For you, because you're a good guy, right?
No, thank you.
You engaged now? You engaged?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But we will get married.
Oh, nice.
We're trying to set
Why
a
did
date
you make
and
it?
then I'll get
Why
engaged.
did you say like you were trying to convince yourself and not telling him? Like, well, we will get married.
I swear it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
I promise you.
It legitimizes me as a
What's
human.
so like, for example, you've mastered, not I wouldn't say mastered, because I don't want to, like, because I'm sure you feel like you have to figure things out too, but like, you know what moderation looks like.
Yeah.
You've been in big moderation circles, whether it's the mayor,
it's crazy.
or whether it's politics, or whether it's doing stuff downtown. Like, you had like a workshop that you had it downtown, didn't you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
No, just now, like Meta.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that was in downtown.
Yeah, I think Patrick Mount either retweeted or liked it or did something.
Something like that, yeah.
And, Patty B.
You do a lot of important things.
I'm a big fan of Patty B.
I actually, you know what, and I must say, I'm actually very impressed with Patrick Brown, too.
Oh, no, he's a...
Yeah.
Don't.
Everyone who's ever met him has told me the exact
We
same
were
thing.
hoping that he would be... Premier, but
yeah.
We got Thug Ford.
Yeah.
But,
sorry, I thought about Thug Pun for a second.
Yeah. Yo, we saw a trailer with him
that trailer
yesterday.
of his movie, Thug Punch? What kind of juice is that,
But
bro?
what do you want this career for in this realm look like? In this moderation, speaking, hosting realm?
You know what? The moderation stuff is... I wouldn't really want to make a career out of it, because I find that one thing that kind of irks me a little bit about moderation, I say this as I'm going to be moderating another panel in a few weeks, but it's actually a cool panel because it's by this group called Brampton, Vision Brampton, and they're gearing it towards the 18 to 24-year-olds, because I don't know if you guys know this, but the 18 to 24-year-old population makes up the biggest voting block in the upcoming election, but they're probably not going to vote because they don't know what's going on. So that one's kind of cool because it has a very impactful reasoning behind it. But my issue with moderation is that, sometimes I have an opinion and I can't share it, and I gotta stay neutral. And then I'm in situations like the Vicky Dillon situation where it just falls apart. And it's funny because, like, for me, it doesn't fall apart for me because I'm the one kind of managing it, make sure it doesn't, fall apart for the viewer. But it's just, it's interesting to be that person because you really see how people are put on the spot and how they react. And sometimes you're just, and it's very hard to contain yourself when it comes to opinions that you hear too, because there's some things that you hear and it's out of whack and you're just like, why are you
probably
sitting
feel like
here?
saying, what are you doing?
Yeah,
man?
literally.
Like, and then my issue with moderation is that you have to stop after 2 drinks, and I don't get that because that doesn't make any sense.
But I remember on Rogers TV, we had to interview everybody, like every school trustee candidate, we called it fringe, so everyone who had
debates,
the debates,
Fringe, so NDP candidates.
No. Debates? Okay, well, let me say one thing before Nav continues. On Rogers TV, they had this guy named, I think his name is Paul Fromm. He was a teacher. He used to be a teacher,
where?
but this guy, Fromm, but this guy was like outright racist, and I think he had gotten fired from being a teacher because he was racist.
Pretty much.
And he was one of the candidates for like municipal election, and he was on the debate next to like all these actual
there was one
candidates.
It got so comedic for the last mayoral election where I think there was like 21 candidates running for mayor.
21?
Like, it was like a lot.
That happens all the time.
And it was like, and you see them all sitting in one corner because like the actual area where they sit, it's not made for that many people. So you have like some people standing, some people sitting, some people just trying to get FaceTime as I'm motioning here in the studio.
So like anyone could run for mayor. Like I could go put in my name tomorrow.
Here's the thing: municipal politics was the most fat. Like I was never like even civics class. I think I skipped it in high school. Like I never was politically aware. But municipal politics, when I covered it for the first time for Rogers TV, that really opened my eyes regarding how interesting it can be.
Bad it is.
But you know what? It's nuts, man. Because people who feel like they can do the job will run, and sometimes I ask, like, why if you can't have anything, if you don't have anything important to say, if you can't contribute, if you can't even talk about what you be offering,
inflative sense of self.
A lot of it's realtors, man. Realtors that just want to.
I was going to say, with Apne Bande, all it is you're sitting there and one of your friends chucks you for no reason. Starts going, you would be a good mayor, bro. You're like, nah, that's not
you know
me.
what?
Then 2 or 3 other guys you start going,
you would make a great mother, dude.
Yeah.
You'd be the
Gurshaan would be the greatest.
Yeah, I actually think I would.
I would say if I ever have a daughter, I want her to be just like Gurshaan.
So what do you think? So what do you think your calling is then? Because one. So the thing about interviewers, one thing I've noticed is a lot of people, like particularly, I go to like events once in a while, and one thing that I really despise about interviewers is they listen to answer.
Yeah.
And they're waiting for the other person to finish to get to their next question. Which I've noticed that you don't do. And you genuinely are interested and you're listening to people. So you're like in the small block in that. So I guess
I appreciate the feedback, man.
So I guess you either, well, because like, I'm like,
get a room.
Like the greatest guy, for example, for people who...
Raj might be upset after this.
Like, for example, Letterman, like, was awesome. But Letterman wasn't a great interviewer. He always was listening, waiting for his joke. Craig Ferguson was always waiting. He was not a great interviewer. But then you had guys like Conan, and you have Sean Evans, who, I don't know if you watch Hot Ones, I think is the best interview in the world.
Even Colbert, man. Colbert too.
He listens.
Colbert's improved a lot.
He especially in this new role, too.
So do you think that is your calling, where you... and particularly with this platform, do you think that's your calling, or do you think being an organizer too, because you do that too?
Yeah, right? It's really like I actually wasn't. I was out of work like for a lot of last year. I'd say like 8 months, like living off my wife, which was kind of fun, but then kind of boring at the same time.
Good for you.
But
we got a winner.
It's about time we switched gender roles.
Straight up. Hey, she loved it. The one thing I always hated were people that were like, oh, find your purpose, like find what your North Star is and attain it,
follow it. And
then eventually when you get to a point where you're not doing anything and you're kind of alone with your thoughts, you start to really think about those things, and you start to be like, oh man, like this stuff actually does resonate. But to an extent, because like I'm not someone that buys into a lot of the propaganda that a lot of people say, like on LinkedIn. Like I think the only person that really resonated with me was probably Gary Vee. Because I remember watching just a snippet of one of his videos where he was like, oh, like, so what if you're 30? And I was 30 at the time. So what if you're 30? You still have 70 years to live. Like, take all your chances. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. 100, depending on technology. So I would say I really kind of found my purpose in regards to my ability to connect with people and being able to engage them. So I kind of put that into everything that I do. So when it came to putting together this show, I was like, I can do every other interview show that everyone else does and assume that it's going to be cool, or I can just get the right people in the room and actually talk about things that matter. And that's the approach I've taken. And that's the one thing I really enjoy with your show as well. And by the way, congrats on over 100 episodes. That's
Thanks, man.
insane.
And we didn't think we'd get... I came on as a guest on episode 20.
And he became a regular.
And I was a last-minute guest because they called me at 5:30 and said, can you be ready in half an hour? I'm like, who canceled on you?
And speaking of Nanwa's, Paul came on.
Oh, I saw Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
Did you see Paul?
He was drumming for Jazzy B.
Oh,
yes.
He said he's coming back at you guys at the roast. He said, watch out the roast. He's like, he's coming.
Yo,
Paul leaves Man Music's pocket sometimes?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
He's coming back to the roast.
That's why he's not around anymore, because apparently Manj told him he can't leave his house after 5 p.m.
I saw someone I know did like an in-depth interview with Manj, and the question was, is RDB getting back together? And then they cut it right there because they want you to like download it or something.
Oh, this is probably Frequency.
Frequency
It might have been.
Entertainment?
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what
Might have been.
In-depth interview
they did
with
a cliffhanger on the...
commercial. Pretty much, they end up doing a cliffhanger.
Like a teaser,
So you click the link and you watch the full.
I want to see who would click that. Like, oh, can't wait till RDB gets back together. Oh man.
Yeah.
To the Heatles.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
The
dude.
Heatles?
Come on, dude. Let's get out of here.
But actually, to you guys, like over 100 episodes into the podcast, like obviously you guys are thinking about new ideas, like new content.
You'd be surprised.
No, we literally, like, when we show up, everyone's like, oh, so how do you guys formulate? We don't. We just sit there and start talking.
The last podcast, we got a little serious, the three of us. We got maybe 4 or 5 messages. I got like 3 where someone messaged me and be like, hey, really resonated. Favorite episode. It was nice to hear yada 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 from a male's perspective. So sometimes it's like you're like, why are we even doing this? But then you go to like, you find out the NDP candidate in my area listens to our podcast. And you're like, wait, we might dictate policy. You know,
and that's the one thing I find with even this show is you'll be in a random spot and someone listens. Someone will just be like, oh, I heard your interview with so and so. It's pretty cool. And you're like, whoa, like because sometimes when you look at even just some of the numbers, you're like, oh, okay, there's like a select few that listen. Maybe there isn't. Yeah. But then the people, I guess, that are tuning in are very engaged.
Love it. It's crazy because like our anecdotal response is much higher than our actual numeric response. Like we'll go to parties and people will recognize us, which is weird.
And nobody ever comes up to me. I don't think I'm approachable.
You're not approachable at all. No, it's the.
But I don't get it because I would be nice.
I get it.
I eventually want to have an interview show of my own. Like I want to interview people.
That's my goal for you.
Yeah, like I want to do that.
That's my goal for him.
I think the podcast podcast has helped all of us in that respect. But like I feel like I've sort of crafted it. Like I figured out what works and how people like to be questioned and answered. But like, life just hits. Like for example, you too. Life just hits you, and you have to like. Go home.
But you know what? But if in those situations where life hits you, because it's so easy when life hits you to give up some of these things and be like, I can't do it anymore. That's why for me, it's like it's scheduled into my calendar, and I'll be the first to admit it. There's some times where I come into this show. Hopefully, Jyoti's not listening to this, and I'm like. I pretty much have pieced it together like Friday, but then there's shows like this one where I've worked on it for like the entire week, where it's like I feel good to go, but that's just I need to show up on Sundays and just do it because then that's how I
it's
build
more
my
authentic to me, right?
It is,
You know what I've struggled with being a creative, I guess? I don't like saying that, is I don't know what people want. So
it's tough, man. It's so tough.
Like, even as a businessman, like my dad's an incredible businessman. I come from a family of just entrepreneurs. Everyone's successful. I don't know what people want.
I think you do know what people want.
No, I don't.
No, I think you don't know what people want.
I think people like, for example, if everyone was like me, all stores would be closed. They'd only be open on Boxing Day and sales. I don't understand.
And only restaurants. I
don't understand materialism. I don't understand Netflix binge watching. I don't do it. Like, I don't understand. Like,
but you understand why people do it.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. Man.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. You've talked so much about this.
I don't understand your T-shirt. Like, it's not yellow. It's not beige.
It's almost like my shirt, but like mine's a bit brighter.
It's more mustardy.
I don't understand.
That was his Roca color. It's called a Roca wear.
It was my
Roca
wear. Still cracking jokes about that.
Like, for example, I don't like taking dates to movies.
Yeah.
Because I want to have a conversation with you.
And
I never understood like just binge watching shows. Like people are watching 18 shows at a time.
But you know what? That's why I feel like when it comes to being creative and when it comes to your output, sometimes you got to be selfish and just do what you want to do.
Yeah,
like
I realize that now.
Like even like me covering pro wrestling, like wrestling's a big interest of mine. I'm like, if I can fit it into what I'm doing,
why not?
Yeah. And like I've actually, full candid, like some of those episodes get me my highest listens because people like that stuff, right? And then even when I talk about stuff like Jay-Z in the NFL, like. It's just that's stuff that I'm interested in, and I notice that when I do talk about those things, I come off a lot better.
Yep,
and that's what makes the conversation better.
Yeah, it makes it authentic.
Dude,
right?
you interviewed Trish Stratus and Matt Hardy. That's legit. Like, that's a way of legitimizing who you are as a person. At the end of the day. You know what I mean? If you would have interviewed Tiger Ali Jeet Singh, we'd just figure another brown dude.
Tiger Ali Singh. Tiger Jeet Singh's his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why can't you interview the dad? Yeah.
Nicest guy. I
actually did work on the Tiger Fest in Brampton.
What's the Tiger Fest, bro?
And Manage Music was there. So it got full circle.
The Tiger Fest sounds like something the Tamils would hold.
Yeah. But that family in general is the nicest family, man.
Oh, they are.
Anytime I've seen them somewhere and I walked up and everyone's approaching.
He's a super warm guy. He's super big.
He's never won an Intercontinental title, though, so...
He didn't have the makings of a varsity athlete.
Hard family for life. Shout out to Owen.
No, but he was killing it. I actually really wanted to interview the Singh brothers, man.
Yeah, they like their role.
Like, they're killing it.
Are they still around in WWE?
They're in the NXT. NXT? 205 Live. Yeah.
But like when you like, I love their social media because their social media is literally them like still fans
owning
like,
it.
They had a pretty good post during SummerSlam weekend where they were like, oh, like 11 years ago, this was the venue where we snuck in backstage and got kicked out.
Oh, nice.
Now we're performing. lo and behold, they're performing in front of like a handful of people.
And they take bumps like no one.
Oh.
Like, remember Randy Orton?
Right.
When he was just tossing him, and these guys were like, yeah. And I remember one of them got hurt.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, he literally got hurt. He was just taking
Punjabi
bumps,
prison
bro.
match, man.
Yo, Punjabi, shout outs to Kali. But yeah, I think like it's a way of legitimizing getting like,
Thanks,
for example, when we had a random professor, so we needed a professor for the wedding documentary, and it's just a random name I've never heard of, and she's a friend of ours now, and just breathe ball, and I'm like, hey, we need you for the documentary, we needed a female perspective, and she's like, oh, I listen to you guys, I know who you are. And I was like,
we're like, what?
Yeah.
She's a scholar, and she's a woman, and she's a self-professed feminist,
awesome.
and we're a bunch of like
Daman gave
we're like, don't you have anything else to do?
Daman gave Gurjot the Make Them Quiver episode to listen, where we talked about orgasms, and I was like, okay. And then me and Gurjot talk on Instagram once in a while. So hey,
oh nice. Gil KG wants to do a conspiracy theory episode. Gurjot.
Yeah.
Oh, yo.
I call her Gil KG because that's her rap name.
That's her.
I'm
Her
big.
spoken word name.
Handle, I think, is Gil KG. So I don't
or
know.
she's prancing Pagoda, I think, on Twitter or something.
Oh, she's on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, I might give her a follow.
No, but like, I'm big into conspiracy theories because I don't think they're conspiracies. I think a lot of those are true.
I'll probably do one because everyone's like, "Oh, when are you going to talk about?"
Yo, me, you, and Noise should do a pre-WrestleMania and get you on too, because I know you're into wrestling. A WrestleMania, pre-WrestleMania.
He's an internet snob NXT fan.
Oh, you're one of those like, you're like Alvarez. You know Brian Alvarez? Yeah. He's like Brian Alvarez.
He's one of those guys who was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go home after NXT."
Probably got the Dave Meltzer weekly subscription.
I'll do that.
I'll never give anyone 3 stars.
But he gave that Tokyo Dome match 6 stars.
Yo, I know that's because he likes that Japanese wrestling.
Do you listen to Bruce Pritchard's podcast?
No, Bruce Pritchard's. You know what I used to listen to? I used to listen to the Ringers, David Shoemaker.
Oh, okay.
I used to listen to that.
Okay.
I stopped though.
Shoemaker's an interesting name.
Yeah. So Bruce Pritchard's podcast. So Bruce Pritchard was like the right hand man. Brother Love he used to be in WWE.
Yeah,
He's like Vince McMahon's right hand man from when he was like 25 in the 80s.
Brother Love.
Up until when John Cena got big, and now he just got rehired.
Oh, did he? I don't know.
So he was around like a SummerSlam. My brother and I saw him walking around.
The guy's name is Brother Love?
No, his name is Bruce Pritchard.
Oh, okay.
But he played Brother Love, the character.
Okay, because that sounds like a video.
And he just knocks Dave Meltzer. Because his co-host will always read Dave Meltzer. Like, oh, Dave Meltzer said this was happening backstage. He's like, was he there?
Meltzer's the pitchfork of wrestling, eh?
Literally.
That cool indie thing. But I like him. I feel like his heart's in the right place. I don't know.
Yeah. We're actually running out of time.
This is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. No, I'm happy. This is like a good redemption from that lost episode I made you guys not release.
We'll get you on again.
This is the best episode we've had in this building.
And we...
She's not even paying attention.
She's not obviously.
We have that episode still of yours. We're going to use it. When you get really popular, you get up there, you'll get blackmailed.
I still remember the ode to the drink champs. That will always...
I haven't listened to since, bro. I messed with Nori. Did you ever watch his show? It was so bad.
Nori?
Where he had like an Action Bronson type of show with a fit show.
Actually, was that on Viceland?
It was on Complex on their... It was overproduced.
It flopped, right?
He overproduced.
Yeah.
I love Nori.
Yeah, Nori.
Yeah.
Get Nori on.
What?
I should. We'll see. I actually want to do an episode, and I'm going to work on this one. I'm going to speak it out to existence. I'm going to do an episode with the classic Canadian hip hop.
Cardinal.
Cardinal.
Chaos is my favorite.
Chaos. Rascals.
I might be able to get Maestro because Maestro's actually performing an event that I'm emceeing next month, so I'm going to try to get him on the show.
First hip hop album, rap album I ever bought was
really easy.
Maestro.
Who?
Yeah.
He isn't none of it. He can get Manjon really easy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to get Manju.
He comes with Paul, though.
Yeah.
It's an ankle bracelet.
Well, yeah.
Maybe
He's
just
usually towing Paul behind the car.
I was going to say, maybe I can get Manj to play in the background while I do my show, just like the Jazzy B episode.
Oh, he ain't a background guy.
Oh, he's not.
I was at Piff once. Shout out to Sonny Gill.
Yeah, Sonny Gill's awesome, man.
3 years ago, and Manj was there with bodyguards, like Rana Bussi, who we know. And I was like,
what? Wait, was he wearing really funky Nike kicks?
And I was like, man, no one cares, bro. And you know who was peeing next to me? It was, dude, what's that guy's name? He's a boss, bro. Sherry Mon?
Sherry Mon's a G.
So Sherry Mon's just peeing next to me, and no security.
Nothing.
And he had to stay in the bag. And he was just doing his thing, and then he got a man.
Wait, did he bring the bag in the washroom with him?
No, I don't think so.
So it wasn't one of those where you late put the bag down.
I've done that before.
No,
I've done that before. When people bring food into the washroom, it disgusts me.
No, I've done that before, and someone's like, "Well, why did you bring this in here?" I'm like, "I'm not trying to get roofied."
On that note, this concludes this week's episode of New Theory Radio. Where can people listen to you guys?
Go to YouTube and search People of the Community. I think it might be YouTube/People of the Community.
We had Gary Monty on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
this episode, I don't know if you talked to him. We're going to put it on there. That's cool.
No, that's awesome.
I spoke to him.
Yeah.
Spoke to him.
I want to get Gary on the show too.
He's killing
next time he's in town.
Yeah, because he's had one fight.
Need to have him. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Great talk.
He was here. I wish we could have set that up.
When I used to be Rogers used to hit me up when Gary was around.
Yeah, that's right. You actually set up an interview.
Yeah, and then I got canceled
with
because
Dinesh.
I know. Oh yeah, I did. Yes.
Dinesh, nice dude.
Yeah, Dinesh Sachin.
Oh, Dinesh from filming.
Yeah, big Blue Jays fan.
Yeah.
I love that dude.
We'll
That
get
dude's
you
a
on as
really
well.
nice guy.
So if you're down, we don't have Darshan overlooking us anymore, so we can get anyone we want.
Yeah.
So,
was Darshan actually holding on?
I'm kidding.
Darshan wasn't holding us down, but he also wasn't letting us elevate to where we needed to be.
Yeah. If you want something never to see the light of day, let Darshan take care of it. Yeah.
Let him record
That's
it.
why we haven't seen his wife. So.
I'm gonna get Darshan on the show too because I feel like he can probably provide some good perspective.
He's gonna fight somebody. So, yeah.
Well, on that note, thanks so much. If you want to connect with New Theory Radio, it's at New Theory Radio on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you want to connect with me, it's at Nav Nanwa on Instagram, at nnanwa on Twitter. Thank you so much for tuning in. You will hear all of us next time. Peace.
You're listening to News Talk Saga 960. Also streaming live on saga960am.ca.